Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of BCS Community Connections podcast. And today on the podcast, I have none other than Mr. Trevor Carney from Innovative Fitness here in College Station. He goes by many names. Mr. Clean always tends to be one of those things that kind of runs around.
I'll take that.
So Trevor has been running Innovative Fitness for a while now, over off of Texas Avenue. And but it's got some unique starting points on it. Didn't always start in a building over there. And so what I wanted to do is kind of turn it over to you, give everybody an opportunity to kind of hear where you grew up, where you went to school at, what brought you to Bryan College Station area if you didn't grow up here, and kind of, I know a lot of folks know you, a lot of people are familiar with you here in town. You've done a lot of things over the years here in town, especially in the physical fitness world. So give you an opportunity to just kind of tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me today.
Yeah, sure.
It's definitely an honor, and I'm looking forward to divulging some of the real Trevor.
Yeah.
A lot of y'all know that I'm a pretty real guy. I shoot from the hip and definitely tell you what I'm thinking. And, I'm a local boy. I actually was born in Omaha, Nebraska, and I always thought the Cornhuskers were so cool growing up.
So you may not know this, but actually I spent about a year up in Omaha.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right after high school. And I'm pretty sure you had to be a Huskers fan to live up there. I think it's a requirement by the state or something like that. So I totally get where you're coming from with the Cornhusker program and everything else going on.
Well, especially growing up here and wanting the Aggies to be, the Huskers, the Michigan, all the schools that are killing it every year, Alabamas of the world. I identified with that, and especially I love that everybody's like, oh yeah, Cornhuskers are big, strong, and good Husky boys. Yeah.
Yeah. But the other part of that is so you're here in Texas, you got a lot of different colleges to pick from, like big major colleges and stuff. But I mean, you go up to Nebraska. There's not a whole lot of big ones to pick from.
That's true.
And then you're right on the line there in Omaha. You can literally almost spit across the border in Iowa. And then you got Iowa and Iowa State on the other side, and that's a huge rivalry between them as well too. So, but yeah, I didn't realize you were born there, man.
Yeah, and my dad, Air Force. I was a military baby, and
Offutt, was he at Offutt Air Force Base?
He was. Yeah.
Look at there's a lot of stuff going on here that I know now. So.
But my mom said it was so cold we had to get out of there.
Yeah, I actually was talking to my in-laws about that last night because we were talking about the winter storm that came through, and my mother-in-law was like, "That's the coldest I've ever been." I go, "No, man, I've been way colder." I said, "I said when I was up there, I remember negative 28 degrees."
Yeah, and she said it lasted for months.
Oh yeah. Well, so the first year I got there, it snowed some ridiculous amount of snow, and on top of that, so I was from Texas, grew up in Texas, never been out of the state until this point. I move up there, and Halloween, kid you not, whiteout blizzard.
That's probably the night I was born. That's what my mom said that night.
It might have been, man, because it was 90. This would have been 91, 90.
Yeah,
90, 91.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, but from being from Texas and can see 4 feet in front of my car, it was pretty scary. And then driving in it for the first time and everything else, and I'm just like, dude, this is ridiculous. But then it all settles out on the ground, and it's nice and white, and you're like, oh, this is beautiful. And then you realize it doesn't go away. It stays there forever, and it turns muddy, and people slosh it all up on the sides, and that don't go away.
That's so true.
And so it's there for 4 to 6 months, and then you're sick of it when you see it. I mean, it only took me 1 year to realize this is not where I need to be.
Oh yeah, I love Texas and being able to be, swim in the pool and sand volleyball in it, and just really being outside.
Shorts in January.
Right, exactly. One of my mottos is live life through activity. So I love that we can go out and do a lot of active things. But yeah, that's where I was born.
Nice.
And we moved back down to Bryan College Station, and my mom was an LVN nurse, and then my dad worked for the old GTE, and it was actually Bell before that. So he was an electrical engineer, and real humble upbringing, blue collar.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of corporal punishment there with a military dad. I won't make my dad sound like nowadays, like it's definitely would have been child abuse. Love you, Dad.
But today it'd be on TikTok. They'd be replaying it a million times.
Yeah. But I'm glad I was raised that way. It definitely gave me some discipline, and Lord knows, like we need a lot of discipline in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, so you come, I'll get onto that question here in a little bit. So you come here, Bryan College Station, go to school here, finish out school here, graduated from?
Yeah, I actually grew up in Bryan, and right over there by Bryan High, and so did, Sol Ross, and then Carver, Kemp, and then from there Jane Long, and then Bryan High, of course.
There's probably still teachers that are like, Trevor Carney. I know Trevor.
Go Vikings. Yeah. No, I loved it. And Bryan was a perfect fit for me. The Consol kids were, more clean cut, groomed and affluent. And, we were more blue collar and more diversity. And I'm very grateful for my upbringing. So graduated Bryan High. And
played sports?
Yeah. I played football. I played them all through sophomore year, but then specialized on football, junior, senior year.
What was your position?
I was defensive tackle, believe it or not. I was one of the bigger kids until Ty Warren was there when I was a senior. So then that was a new big for Bryan.
I was going to say, Ty kind of puts that in perspective for what you consider to be big, right? So stand next to Ty or shake Ty's hand, man, you're like, whoa. Yeah, I kind of fail in comparison here.
That's why you're in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and you're fast too?
Yeah, you could run a 4 what? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I played defensive tackle. I always loved defense and being physical. I had a big old 6'5" brother, and he was an offensive lineman. So of course, all the offensive linemen come over and eat all our food. So I learned you have to eat fast, and you got to be rough, and you got to be tough. And I had a really good big brother. I had just a wonderful upbringing here in town, and made it through. I was actually a good student, and I knew I wanted. You
say that like that would shock some people, or say like I was actually a good student.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I don't think people in high school would have expected that I would have done as much as what I've done. So
that stigma of being, a football player and stuff like that. You felt like that. Yeah. So you finish up at Bryan, and then you roll over to Sam Houston State.
No, I went to. I did a couple years at Cisco Junior College first.
Okay.
And that's out in West Texas near Abilene.
Yeah.
And man, that was a lot of fun out there.
Scholarship.
Yeah.
Did you get a scholarship going?
Scholarship out there. Yeah. So I had a couple years my school paid for, and from there, actually Cisco we made the playoffs for the first time in like 20 years or something. We played blend with Michael Bishop and got smoked, but it was fun just to be playing. I've always enjoyed playing, and from Cisco, went to a couple of different schools. Thought I was going to go a bigger school, than where I ended up. So I had some offers from some D2s and stuff like that, a couple Division I AA's, and of course in my head I'm a full scholarship player.
You're in for the ride.
Yeah, but that didn't quite come to fruition like I thought it would. So I had to humble myself and went and walked on out at Sam Houston and finished up out there at Sam. We had a good run out there. Played a spring out there and really just had a lot of fun. That's where I kind of honed my craft out there and really fell in love with.
Now, were you staying here and making the commute back and forth?
I did both. Yeah. Like my last year, I did lived here and would drive back and forth.
Yeah.
But I lived up there a couple of years.
Okay.
It was fun. The Ville.
So finish off. Your education, you get your bachelor's in.
Yeah, did a bachelor's at Sam Houston, and Sam was a lot smaller than it is now, so they gave me the opportunity to start like a lunchtime learning program. So we were getting to teach a lot of the profs and whatnot, and put out informational stuff to the staff. So that was cool, and got my first personal training gig there, and I was like. So it had so many different aha moments, but just getting to be in the gym, and like I'd always been a big strong kid.
Yeah.
So being in the gym and like lifting weights and I figured out, oh my God, I can get paid to do this. So that was fun.
But your degree though was kinesiology.
Kines,
though, right?
yeah, kines, yep.
So you finish off, you get an opportunity to train there. And then tell me, once you go from there, where you move from there. So you're graduated,
right,
and doing training out at Sam Houston is kind of like is that more like
that
a
was
full-time deal?
That was just while
you were there
finishing undergrad.
Gotcha.
But man, that was a weird time. Definitely. I feel for kids coming out that don't have like specific degrees, and I would tell kids to go volunteer. That was the best advice anybody ever gave me, is go volunteer and see what you like doing.
Yeah.
Because I swear I felt like, oh great, I have a undergrad, but like I had no idea really what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be a football coach and teach, and I was like, well, how am I going to make any money? I don't know, and just enjoyed it, but didn't really know. And so I moved back to College Station and Bryan. And, from there, I started working at Gold's Gym, just trying to think more of like what I wanted to do. So I was training at Gold's Gym and might as well add more school, since you don't know what you want to do.
That's right. Let me get back in there and hone my craft a little bit more for a couple more years.
Exactly. And like, I love the academic environment. I absolutely would love to. Yeah. I taught a little bit at Blinn and A&M, but I would love to finish up there, especially to have some insurance. But no, so I got into grad school at A&M and did sports management. It's under Kines, so we had some science classes and some business classes, and really got to learn more about how to communicate with people and be in groups. And that was something that was hard for me, especially growing up in Bryan College Station. And I tell people I'm like a little kind of country ghetto with my accent. I don't know where I got it from, but everybody I was so intimidated. Everybody spoke more eloquently than me. Yeah. And everybody was just using bigger words. And like, it was intimidating, but going through the process of working with people and communicating, like I'd always been able to connect with people. So I kind of, by the end of grad school, let those fears go. Yeah. And
was there a specific course or anything like that really kind of like broke through that barrier for you?
Yeah, definitely doing, the public speaking stuff, just getting up in front of people, presenting, and, that's intimidating.
Oh, dude. I tell people all the time, like, so, when I think it was 7th grade, 8th grade or something like that, you have to take an elective, right? And I thought, man, I'll do public speaking. I didn't know anything about it or whatever. And the very first day, most people were surprised to know this, the very first day, you got to get up there and you introduce yourself and you say what your hobby is or what you like doing or whatever. And I can just remember going up in front of the class and I could get my name out, but then I realized as soon as I'm saying my name, like all the eyes are on you, right? And all those insecurities and everything else, you're like, man, I'm going to make myself sound stupid here. Yeah. I'm going to say something that and keeping in mind back then, there wasn't no such thing as social media and cell phone cameras.
At least they couldn't record us.
Exactly. The best you could do is put it on a Polaroid or something, So I get up there and I realize, I froze. I couldn't get anything else out. What was really crazy was, so at that time I'm 11, 12, whatever it is that you're in 7th grade. I had my martial arts background. I was already at that time, I was a black belt and I was teaching adults in that environment as a 12-year-old.
I bet that helped.
But there was definitely something there about somebody who was my age range and peers that was a lot different, because over here I'm like, man, I know what I'm talking about over here, and I can show you and do it. But when I got into an environment that wasn't comfortable, man, I was like, it was locked up, and I'm like, I gotta lay this down, man. Like, I gotta go figure out something else to do. And I quit. I was like, I'll go get me another elective. And so, now, flash forward, for me, because I asked you what class it was that kind of put that over. For me, it was Walmart. Once I got into Walmart, I didn't have any choice. I'm running a store. I have to communicate with my folks. And we have to do that in big group environments, one-on-one environments, small group environments with my leaders and things like that. So that really kind of forced the hand on a lot of that stuff.
Right.
But it reinforced the idea of, I think the one hurdle that most people have is that idea of like, I'm going to sound stupid. I'm going to say something. I'm going to look like a fool. And once you can get over that hump, or you just incorporate it in as like, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
You know, if it sounds stupid and goofy, well, I'm stupid and goofy, and this is just how it is. And so once you get over that hump, then it makes it easy to be able to start communicating with people. And I think some people respect it even more because, like you were saying in the beginning, you're like, man, I'm just real. You know, I don't pretend to be something I'm not. I don't pretend, put on the suit and ties and, say eloquent words and, things like that. I mean, it's just let me be who I'm going to be. And as long as I'm doing what I'm passionate about, all the rest of that comes in. So you finish up, you get your master's.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Finish grad school.
And so you're working at Gold's at the same time you're doing this?
Yep. Still training at Gold's.
So when is this? Like 2000-ish?
Yeah, 2002, 2001.
Yeah, you're a fresh pup, man. So, because I'm, where I'm getting ready to roll you into of when you like started your boot camps and things like that. And so, man, you were a fresh pup then when my wife met you and started like working out with you. So,
oh gosh, yes.
So you're done, finish off. You're doing a gig at Gold's, and were you doing Gold's and the boot camp?
Yeah, so I didn't do those two at the same time, but I was doing Gold's, and then I'd always loved waiting tables. It's just like an easy way to make money. You get to meet a lot of good people. So, right towards the end of undergrad, I decided like I'm going to quit, using any substance for a while, and it lasted almost 8 years. But, I got a job when I first moved back at Christopher's, and they were like trying to get me to drink all these fancy wines and stuff like that. And I was just like, well,
you're killing me.
Yeah, I know. So like I went over to the Red Lobster and killed it, and like, I love some shrimp, and I learned to eat crab legs. But like waiting tables is a great experience for me, and I recommend that to everybody.
Yeah. I forget who was in here. We were talking about it the other day where they said, I recommend that kids get one of two jobs. Either go wait tables in a restaurant, environment, or work fast food kind of deal, or you go into retail, one of those two.
Oh my gosh.
And then both of those are you get to learn about what customer service looks like.
Right.
But then you also get to learn about resolution, customer interaction, all of these things that, definitely the OJT, on the job training as opposed to reading it in a book. I always say that, we get people out of college that, they've read everything in a book, so they know everything as soon as they hit the market, and then they get in the market and realize, man, this doesn't match up. Like, what chapter am I supposed to go to when somebody's throwing something at me, So we start telling folks, especially in the Walmart environment, we get people out of college that are looking to start in the managerial field for them, where they're coming in with a bachelor's or something, and they walk in and you gotta like literally start them ground up, and it's almost a detriment to a certain extent. Like they didn't work their way up through the chain, which is what I did. I mean, I started pushing baskets. They worked their way up through the chain. They get a better comprehension of culture. They get a better comprehension of day in, day out tasks that hourly employees are doing. And when they come in, they don't have that, and they're starting up. They're kind of like, well, this is simple, man. I got this little checklist of stuff to do, and you just do these things. And then I report back, you're done, and we're over this.
Right. Well, that's like Chick-fil-A, too. I hear you can't even buy a franchise unless you go work.
You got to do it.
$8 an hour.
So it's funny you bring that up. My regional manager, who was with Walmart for like 30 years, went and worked at a Chick-fil-A so that he could start one.
Yeah.
After all of that. And it wasn't like, this is a guy who was responsible for hundreds of stores, tens of thousands of employees, probably 160, 170 managers, probably 15 district managers. I mean, his level of influence was huge. But it didn't matter. It was like, this is how we do it, man. Smart. We bring you in, we work you from bottom up. You get to learn how to work the grill. You get to learn how to work the counter, and you're going to put time in, and then we'll talk.
Well, I love that, too. It's like to me, I didn't want to be at the fancy, schmancy restaurant. Like, I wanted to be at something more real and authentic.
Yeah.
And, we as waiters, it taught me anticipation and like what people are going to need. And then a lot of times, like the other servers are judging people by what they look like and what they're walking in and stuff like
Interesting.
that. Yeah, Trevor, I don't want that table. I don't want that table. So you want to take them? I'm like, yeah. So I literally,
those are my people.
Yeah. Well, I would run the whole restaurant, you know, and run circles around everybody. And we used to bet in there who would make the most money and stuff like that. And I'd always kill everybody. But it taught me to serve people, and it also taught me like, wow, the harder I work, the more money I can make, you know, because I'm turning tables faster and stuff like that. And it taught me a lot of things too that transferred over into personal training, you know, like you need to be eye to eye with people. They're sitting down, you sit down. They're on the ground, you're on the ground, you know. They're old, you know, go get them a mat before they even get down, you know.
Have things set up.
Exactly.
Be ready.
Exactly. Yeah. Anticipate what people are going to need and want, you know, and like you'll just wow them.
So you're there. Tell me when you start up Wolf Pen.
All right, so I was working at Gold's, doing personal training there. I liked it, but I didn't think that long term I could make a living at it, right? And so then Gold's switched their structure, you know, without their employees' input, right? Corporate America.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta love them. And so anyways, they switched our structure, and like it just wasn't going to work for me. It wasn't motivating. And so, you know, at that point, it was Cliff, and I think Charlie was working with Cliff, and those guys.
Cliff Latham.
Cliff was doing the adventure boot camp, and I was like, man, you know, I started doing the numbers in my head and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, I think I want to go teach boot camps. And so he was doing the girls, so I was like, I'll start a male boot camp, and it went great. You know, like the boot camp days were some of my funnest times. You know, so. That's back when people were paying $300 a month for a boot camp. Yeah. And but I quickly learned guys don't want it as much as women do.
No. Yeah. It's not a necessity.
It's not. It's crazy.
The prioritization of that money is like, man, this money could probably get me a lot of beer.
Right. Like well, too, like I think our society puts so much more pressure on females.
It does.
Than they put on males. It's like there's so many double standards. Yeah. And, you know, so I quickly learned like, all right, well, I guess we'll keep the guys thing going. And it was great and it was fun. And, you know, there's better BS out there. But,
competitiveness and all that.
Absolutely. And this is before CrossFit too. So I mean, we were getting after it pretty good. And, but I learned, I was like, man, you know, again, if I want to stay in this, well, I got to focus on the women too. And so, you know, we started at Thomas Park. And I had my guys class there, and that did pretty well. But then when we started marketing to women, it got so big so quick that we had to move to Central Park, and that's where I met your wife, Dee, and golly, some of my favorite people on this earth, Cassie and Michelle, and Shan. I mean, the list goes on and on. Yeah. And just got to really serve people, and it was just so much fun. I just couldn't believe how.
Well, what was amazing was, so my wife had never really been a part of like group training, you know, prior to that, right? And then on top of that, they're outside, right? So you're doing boot camp outside, and she sees other like-minded women, you know, that have goals and stuff just like she had. You know, at that point for us, man, I mean, there are pictures that we go back to that we'll scour through, and we're just like, oh man. Like, how did we get to this point, right? Like, well, I call it, you know, with Walmart, it's pretty comparable. You can talk to a lot of guys that are Walmart store managers, and we call it the manager belly. You know, you're on the run all the time. You're constantly, you know, you're eating garbage. You know, I've got all of 5 minutes to scarf this down and get back to the floor. Terrible habits, always busy. Always a reason why you can't make time for your, you know, physical fitness and everything else. And then unfortunately, you know, so your counterpart, your partner, if that's girlfriend, for me, spouse, obviously at that time, they just kind of follow suit. You know, you're going home and it's just repetitive, you know, what's quick and easy to fix. There's not a lot of effort put into nutrition and things like that. And then it eventually catches up to you. And so I can remember her going to boot camp and then coming home like, man, this is fun. Like, and I'm sitting there going, you know, go out in the morning when it's dark, and because she was all about the. Well, let me rephrase that. For most people who know my wife is not on time to anything, you know. So, and I think the deal of it was like you were always there on time, and then my wife would come strolling in, you know, 5-10 minutes late, you know, class had already started or whatever, for every employer that's ever employed my wife, I'm sorry, it just becomes a common fit for her that they just know, like, ish is a good starting time for my wife. We need you here at 7.
But Dee brings so much good juice and energy to the group.
She does. She's super awesome. There is, her personality type will fit in virtually with anybody anywhere. But that was kind of the deal. And she came back home and she's like, hey, this Trevor guy that's running this boot camp, man, like, this guy's like full of energy, but he's real down to earth. He's like right there walking around. She goes, he's barking, but he's not barking. It's really kind of a weird deal. Like, he knows you can do more, but he's not like, he's not like screaming at you to do more. It's like he's encouraging people to do more. And so I find that really interesting, because that's in the beginning stages of really kind of when that was kicking off for you and getting busy. And that's that little talent there of not like, because a lot of times trainers or people who are running boot camps like that you use the word boot camp, and sometimes you get the instructor at the boot camp, that's just like barking it out, like, no, don't drop this, get on there, let's do these burpees, let's knock this out, and so she never got that feel. And then you added some folks around you as well too, when you started just getting, you got to a point you got busy, like you couldn't handle it by yourself.
Oh, quick.
Yeah. And that didn't take long.
Yeah.
And then that's where T comes in and he's working with you. And again, it was just the people that you brought into the mix were people who just accelerated the processes for everybody that was there by creating different environments. Like she said, listen, when Trevor's running the camp, it's different than when Terrence is running the camp. She goes, I don't hate either one of them. Like, they're all good to their own points, but the people who joined up those camps, and when it really exploded because Trevor Carney's leading the camp. But then it's really probably, I imagine for you, it was, you reach this pinnacle or this point where you're like, man, I'm not going to be able to do this by myself. I got to add some guys in here who can help me.
That was so beautiful, too, the way it all happened. Like, I definitely didn't plan, but all my best teammates, all my best staff, they all came from within.
Yeah.
Terrence was a client. We used to call him drive-by because, like, some mornings he wouldn't stop. He'd just drive right by. So you never know what he did the night before.
Oh, yeah.
And, Dee and she ended up doing some stuff and still teaching, and St. Michelle. Just great people, and you know them and you like them. And it's like, dude, you could totally do this. And so I loved encouraging people and challenging them to go to be in fitness. It's like, my gosh, like, you can get paid to work out was one of my first epiphanies. But then, like, you don't want to be that trainer that's like not in shape too. So like, I'm held to I'm held to a standard that is good for me to be held to.
She's like, look, he's working out with us. He's doing all these other things too. You've got to look the part to play the part as well. But again, and I think you were probably a vital piece of that growth for her that led her into, teaching classes and doing things like that. And so, but again, you got like-minded women that are all out there. They're all finishing up, and you see it almost every week. You guys are taking pictures, and then the crowd is just growing, and then it's like, okay, we've added another class, we've added another time, it's, and now all of a sudden, Wolfpen's got one whole side of the hill all lined up with 50 people that are out there trying to do boot camp. So when do you realize at this point that not necessarily it's not sustainable, but you're thinking, man, I gotta do something a little different here. I can foresee a vision from this point that there's something bigger. Is that really kind of where innovative fitness comes in and is born?
It was definitely born at the park, and that's where the name came from, innovative, because you better be innovative because you ain't got no equipment.
So we're going to do this all body weight.
Yeah, so it's bands and balls, and like, you really had to think, and I fell in love with like the mechanics and the biomechanics and just the physiology of the body, because I thought I wanted to do physical therapy school. And that was one of the things. So physical therapist actually told me, go volunteer and see if you really want to do it. So I volunteered a couple hundred hours and realized it's like, man, I don't want to do physical therapy. Like when people come see me, like they're going to feel my juice and we're going to work hard and stuff like that. It's not like most settings I saw with physical therapy. They dread going to see their physical therapist. They associate physical therapy with pain.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Lo. So it just made it easier for me to feel comfortable in my decision that, like, yeah, fitness, we can make this work. This is fun. So, and people just started asking me, well, Trevor, I can't make it to the class. I was like, I don't blame you. If I wasn't up here, getting paid, like I wouldn't be waking up this early either. But, now I'm a morning person. I made myself a morning person. And people that weren't morning people, well, they need a little more. Like the boot camp wasn't perfect for everybody, right? So people were asking me for trainers, and people were asking for like other services that I knew about, and I knew people in the industry, and with my background with physical therapy and masters in kinesis and whatnot, like I loved helping people work through their pain, right? And so, a personal training just seemed like a perfect fit for that. And man, I had like James Murray is one of my good buds, and James just really led me right down the road of like where I need to be next. And so he helped me get my first spot in the Plaza Hotel, which was the dungeon, man. I mean, we used to just.
James has his hand in everything, it seems like these days. So he's a good man to know.
He's just such a good. I love that. Like. He's a good guy, and good things happen to him,
So we have a funny story. You probably don't know this, but, so his wife, Lane, she would go and work out at Gold's or whatever. And I don't know if you've really kind of made this connection or not, but Lane and Deanna look a lot alike.
They do.
And I can remember being I think I was in the fit class at Gold's or whatever, and somebody came over and go, hey, where's Deanna? And I go, she's right over there on the stepper. And they go, where? And I go, on the stepper, see right over there on the stepper. And they go, that's not Deanna. I go, that's Deanna, look. And then I look over there, I go, oh crap, that's Lane. And there's been a bunch of times, man, like I've, walked up behind Lane thinking that was my wife. Fortunately, I was smart enough to pay close attention or whatever, but it's such a funny deal that the two of them get confused for each other, especially when they're around. I mean, they identical. They look, they have the same kind of body shape, hair, everything else. And so even me at 25 years married still had trouble picking her out from across the gym. So, but, so James gets you hooked up, you get started, and then tell me when you make the jump to Texas.
So, we were in the Plaza Hotel, and then from there, James, put me in over at the ice skating rink, which that was cool. A lot of space, good price. And, from there, Trevor, you got to get this building, and so I saw the vision instantly, so at our current location. Yeah.
And you're right there. You're next to a Walmart. I mean, you're in a heavily trafficked area.
Right. No, it's a great location. And I thank the Lord that James pointed me in that direction. Yeah. And I was able to do what we did, but so he's like, dude, you ought to buy this building right here. And, look, this is how it all works. You got to put your money down and have all your ducks in a row, which I didn't before. So, it took me a little bit to get my ducks in a row, but then once we did it, like it was just an instant fit, with where we're at now. And that location's been great for us.
So I'm going to skip ahead on our kind of, our format here. So you open up. It's kind of almost like you build it, they'll come, because you got really busy out of the gate when you opened up as well too. And so what's some of the pitfalls? What were some of the hurdles like right out of the gate when you open? You're like, oh man, I did not see this coming.
Right. So, fast forward a couple of years from boot camp, like now CrossFit's starting to hit and get really popular and whatnot. And I was always hesitant to just pick one thing, and so that's one of my pitfalls, was trying to do too many things. But I'm talking about pitfalls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I got you, Trevor.
Yeah. Just trying to do too much, trying to do too much. Cause like being a Gold's guy, like I liked, pulling a plug and it's got a stack of weights and like you want to move some weight around, you want to put more weight on you pull a pin out and you stick it down two things. So I mean, I will never hate on people that do that because it's like efficient and like you may not have all the mobility you need depending on what else you're doing, but talk about like easy way to add more load to your body. So I had some machines that I went down to San Antonio and got down there and bought the storefront glass or whatever, the windows, and made it like a little, we thought we wanted to be like a little Anytime Fitness at first, with classes. And that was kind of the model for a while. It was an Anytime Fitness model where we had, machines and whatnot and cardio equipment, and you could come in and use the space. But our main jam was personal training, which is kind of still is our thing. And then we would run classes. Like we used to run a boot camp class and like our strength training class, like a more weightlifting, CrossFit-y style. And gosh, it was just too much, because like we were doing yoga too at that point. Yeah. We had the first hot yoga studio in town.
How much of this is like people showing up at your place and going, man, I really wish you had this. And you're like, I could do that. I could go find me a yoga instructor. Or I could go do these things.
So much of it. So much of it.
Because I think I noticed that in the beginning when you got open, it started pretty streamlined. Like you had an idea of like, this is what we're going to offer. But then you started seeing like, I would see post out stuff like, we're going to offer this starting on Saturday. We're going to start doing this. It was like all these things that you're trying to, it was almost like, would you say it was like throw it at the wall, see if it sticks?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, there's things that I'm sure that you went and did, and then you kind of backed away from, that probably wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. And now you're restructuring your personal training piece. I mean, you got some phenomenal personal trainers. I mean, you got guys that you have resourced from places who have tons of experience, super high engagement with their clients, right? I mean, they've built some of these clients for years and years and years. And I know a lot of them, and so these guys, literally, it's almost kind of like a deal. Like if one of them gets an opening, it doesn't stay open for very long because they're so sought out in what it is that they offer to those clients. And so you've built those guys around you for the physical training part, where those guys can help you with. Personal training, where those guys can help you. And now you're trying to find, okay, where is our niche with this other stuff? CrossFit was kind of one of those deals. Yeah. So now you're putting rack systems in, things, TRX bands, all these other things that you see kind of they're starting to kind of come up in a broad. I mean, if you looked at what was a TRX band back in the early 2000s, nobody really was doing anything with those. Rack systems are kind of the same way as well too. And now that's almost everywhere in a lot of locations. But your space is also kind of confined to where you're at. So now I want to bring in these rack systems and TRX bands and have this CrossFit opportunity to be able to kind of teach that as well too.
Right.
And we were talking about in pre-prep where something has to give in order for other stuff to come in. And so the constant ebb and flow of these classes are working really well. So I want to maybe build those. These classes I'm not seeing the turnout on. So I want to shrink those, or if not, eliminate those.
Right.
And then you're trying to bring in some of the best in the local area to help you teach and train those classes that are opening up, because you can't do it all.
Yeah. No, I've had a lot of the best that have worked with me and teammates over the years, and I'm grateful for that. But like, back to the pitfalls thing, like one thing that didn't work was yoga and CrossFit, right? Or, our strength training and yoga, like people dropping weights, boom. And then you got people trying to meditate.
Yeah. Quiet.
Yeah. So you couldn't, I learned the hard way that like those two don't mix. Same thing with massage therapy, you're not going to have a high-end massage place and, a gym at the same place.
Yeah.
Right. Or especially a gym where like we're trying to do CrossFit stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a huge pitfall with just trying to do too much, trying to put too many services in there that didn't really align. Like they align, but like not necessarily in my space.
Yeah. Well, and there is such a thing as you can do too much in one location. I mean, you can get so many things under the umbrella that you could potentially push people away from things that may end up being like a good staple for you, like group classes and things like that. but you bring in something else where you've got to make time, you got to make space, you're working in a limited environment of space. You utilize your outside space when weather permits and everything else to move guys outside, especially most of that is like your boot camp stuff where you're moving that outside and guys are operating. And then you've still got personal training going on inside. I mean, it's this, I would have to imagine it's a constant like balancing act to go, okay, we got to make sure the schedule doesn't overrun, like you were talking about with yoga and CrossFit and dropping weights. Those can't overlap each other because they're not conducive to each other in the environment I'm trying to work in. So you get to pricing structures and you're trying to kind of figure out, what do I charge for all this? Because in the beginning, I think one of the challenges for especially a new gym owner is when they come in, they're going, I just need to get people in the door. So they may start with an introductory, or they may start by really, in some cases, undervaluing what it is that they're bringing to market. Oh, absolutely. And then they're underselling that. And that's great for you body wise. You can put a lot of people in the gym, if you're sitting there going, listen, man, we're going to charge whatever, $49, and this is what we're going to charge on it. And then here comes all these people because they're like, what, Trevor's at $49, man, I'm going over there. And you got these different clients. You're not necessarily set up to compete with like a Planet Fitness or anything like that, because I mean, they're a run them and gun them. They'll take $19, $20 a month every month and run people in and out. And there's no real structure other than just really more free weight time and machines, and you hop on, you get it done, and you move out. Yours is a lot more confined to group class. Really a lot of your stuff, when I was looking at your schedule, and a lot of your stuff is group class oriented. Yeah, mainly. And that's really kind of the deal that people want to pay for, because there's, I know I'm part of a group class, and there's accountability there. You work out with the same people every day, and you don't show up for a class. Hey man, where were you? And so just that accountability level that comes along with that becomes huge. So you go through, you're kind of getting all these pieces together. What about like the finances part, the bookkeeping part, all that stuff? Like you get into opening this gym, you've now got clients coming, they're coming in waves, you've got money coming in, but now it's also the part of like, man, when I was at the park, I just took payment from people, and this was real easy. And now
the $100 bill days.
Exactly. Now all of a sudden you're like, wait, I got to take credit cards. I got to do checks. I'm doing cash.
Oh, your payment failed.
I've got to figure all this out and bring this all in. Oh, and I've got to do these taxes, and it looks a lot different now that I have a building I'm supposed to claim, and all these write-offs and all this kind of stuff. So did you find like, I can do all of this physical fitness stuff really well? Did you find that was more of a struggle for you on the back end side of operating the business?
Absolutely. Like that, I mean, to this day, that's still a struggle. Like I enjoy coaching. I enjoy the heck out of people. Yeah. Like I feed off your energy and juice. Like it gets me going. Right. But like on the finance side of things, like it's hard for me to sit in front of a desk, and to this day, it's still hard for me. I've luckily had just great people. Kay Perone is my accountant, and I mean, my books are squeaky clean now, so that's good. I don't always like it, but
like, Trevor, you got to put more money aside for this over here.
Yeah.
Well, and you were joking about it earlier, but most people don't realize in this industry, insurance is one of those deals, man, that like it's non-existent. And you can set up a gym, and you can have, group insurance for people that are working under your gym and all this other stuff. But then you start realizing the price tag associated with that. Most people who've never run a business don't have a clue at how expensive insurance is. And we're just talking just general coverage, nothing really fancy. And so in order to be a location to do those things, the first thing you're looking at is like, listen, I'd love to just have insurance for myself. Let's kind of start there. But then I got to also understand that, I'm paying that 100% out of my pocket over here. It's one more expense. It's one more factor. You're working in an environment where it's, it's easy to pull a muscle, get injured, sprain something or whatever. So these are all expenses that get wrapped up into determining what do we have to charge, what's the pricing that we need to be at. And then there becomes the market value to that. Like, okay, who's doing what we're doing, and are we still staying competitive there as well too? In the CrossFit industry, that's a big deal right now. Like, these guys are at whatever 150, for a month or whatever, and they're running through classes. But then they got to stay competitive with these other. Well, we're at 130, or we're doing $99. So it's you want to ensure that you fit in. Not necessarily so it's the go along to everybody else, but that I offer services that maybe these other places don't go. You go pay $150 a month, go do CrossFit, and it is CrossFit, and that's it. There's no other services offered.
That was a struggle. That was definitely a pitfall, now that I think of, I knew it in the time, but, to do all the memberships that you would have to have, it would cost you $300 to $500 to go have a yoga membership, a CrossFit membership, a dance membership, a gym membership, a massage membership, and trying to put that in a nice package for people. It's tough. It's challenging. So again, it goes right back to trying to do too much.
Well, and that's what I've noticed right now. Your current model is sitting at, you got an introductory offer where guys can come in and try out the gym and $49, and they come in and get access to all of this stuff. And then you got some pretty good packages that are all set up as well too, where guys can, maybe this isn't a part of a package that I'm really interested in, but you've got so many flexibilities within that package to go, listen, and even if they just come to you and say, hey, Trevor, I'm not looking to go do no yoga, man, but I'd like to maybe do this. And oh yeah, we can flex this and out for you and give you an opportunity here. That's the great part about owning your own gym and being the decision maker is you can sit there and say, listen, this guy over here, man, we're going to do this. We're running this package, but I'm going to remove this and give him this in the process. And so it allows you some flexibility there. Most of the packages that you're running are not typically what you'd find in your average gym. Right. Because you've got a lot of stuff that caters to a lot of different people within those packages. And then before we were sitting down in here, and I was telling you, offering massage therapy, offering cupping, things like, I was like, dude, I didn't know you were doing those things. And so again, people who go there, people who are members for you probably know that those things are available. And you're probably also talking about hey, you worked out hard today, man. Go sign up, put your name for, a little massage therapy back there and get you all worked out, or they get a little tweak here or there that they need to have addressed. And so for you have the ability also to communicate that inside. Outside is really kind of where the challenge is letting people know, we're not necessarily an all-in-one service, don't necessarily want to be an all-in-one service, but we've got things that we think tie back into what your need may be. If you're doing, if you're doing CrossFit, listen, CrossFit is one of those deals. I have met very few CrossFit people or who do CrossFit that have not been injured.
Oh, for sure.
It is a high injury. It's a high injury deal. And now you're going to talk to a lot of trainers and stuff that are going to go, well, people get injured because they don't do it right. I understand that. But again, it's kind of that same deal. You can't have eyes everywhere. You can't be all eyes on all people at all times. And man, if there's one thing I've learned about, high intensity workouts that really tax your body is the harder you work out, the weaker your dynamics of technique get. Right? Your body you'll start cutting corners to try and figure out a way to lift that weight over your head. And so now all of a sudden you're not shoring up your back muscles. You're throwing a little bit too much weight above your head and you torque a shoulder or something like that. So that's kind of a deal where a lot of folks who think CrossFit, they're worried about the fact that they're going to injure themselves. All you ever see on CrossFit is people throwing big weight around, right?
And ripped up.
Yeah. No
one wants to really pay attention to how dedicated and how much time, how disciplined they are. If you have abs and you're in the fitness industry, you're broke.
Yeah, because you're not. Listen, the abs are made in the kitchen.
Absolutely.
They're not being made by throwing a bunch of weight around. That's helping, and that's helping you put the muscle on. But in order, to show and go there, you got to spend the money in order to eat well.
No, and that's one thing that I've always identified with is people. People need love, man, and they need a bunch of different ways to to connect. And I recommend yoga to everybody. I feel like it's just fantastic for your body. I went and got certified yoga a few years ago, and we've been running yoga classes, and we'll continue to run yoga. That'll be something that I'll do as an old man,
Well, and that's yoga is not an age-defined process. I mean, you got 70-plus-year-old women and men and stuff that do yoga that are super flexible. It really helps them with their overall health aspect. Right. And so, but you guys also offer other stuff. You got some new stuff that you're testing and kind of threw out there as well too. I know my wife and her friends. They did a little group session.
Yeah, they did a pole fitness party.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to talk about that on here, and I don't even know if she knows. But
you said her name.
I know. Well, I know that there was. I think the rule was no photos or something like that. There was like a before photo and after photo, and that was it. But what was funny was after they were done and they all, kind of came back and talking about it or whatever, talking about, man, that's a workout.
It is a workout. Yeah, it is something serious. I mean, for even beginners, you go in there and, pole has maybe a negative connotation with it. Yeah. But it's definitely becoming more mainstream, and most of the people that attend that regularly are upper level degrees, and it does a lot for women empowerment. I mean, I'll see women just transform coming in there, and we've had some guys come through too, but our women just will transform their confidence. They're comfortable with their bodies. Yeah. It's amazing. It's been a fun ride with the pole.
There was nobody in that group so they didn't have a good time.
Yeah, and they all have fun too.
Yeah.
Like the first time I realized, like, wow, people can have fun and work out, it was when we started Zumba, and I was like, I never see more people smiling and sweaty than doing Zumba. Yeah. So, like, pole kind of falls into that category for me now.
Yeah, so she tells me, hey, we're going to do a girls' night out, and I'm thinking, okay, where are y'all going to eat and where are you going to drink or whatever? Mm-hmm. And then it's like, no, we're going to go over to Trevor's class and we're going to do this pole dancing deal. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Trevor's doing pole over there? And she goes,
I'm not teaching it.
Yeah, she goes, it's not Trevor. She goes, it's somebody else. But she goes, yeah, we just thought it'd be a little bit different and unique to be able to do. And I'm like, oh, hey, man.
You would never laugh so much and have such a good time. It truly is a very unique experience. And, and especially for groups, you get girls together.
Oh, my gosh.
And they just cut up. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah, and so what is interesting, and this, you probably knew this before you even put the class in play, is we're talking about the difference, guys group and a girls group or whatever, and the guys more hound on each other, and it's ultra competitive. And the girls part, it's very encouraging. It's very like restorative to people, like encouraging people to do better. That when they think they've reached that point, they can't go any further. That you got these women that are just like, you can do it. I mean, they are super supportive. And so it was the same deal in that class when I was kind of asking her about the recap of it or whatever. And she's like, at first some people were kind of like, I'm going to look weird. Or they have this vision of themselves in their mind, like as I'm holding on to this pole and spinning around it and ducking down and everything else. Like, I don't feel normal. But then they get that positive reaffirmation from the other women in the group because they all are in it together at this point. And then that inhibition just kind of drops down. Sure. And then, like you said, you start seeing this other person like almost kind of coming out, and they're just sitting there going, well, this is awesome, So when we get done, they talk about how much fun it was. And again, something else that, who else in town is offering that as a group format where you can go out there and do that?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody else. But there's definitely like a level of self-connection that you get in the pole class and in yoga class. I mean, you feel great after you do a high-intensity workout, but like you really have to look at yourself a little bit more in the mirror, and like you slow it down and you get to think a lot more in a slow yoga class. So you are forced to connect with yourself more.
Well, that's a great point. I mean, listen, I've been married 25 years, man. Most, in a lot of those times when I've watched my wife look at herself in the mirror, it's not necessarily always looking in the mirror and going, man, I'm so proud of the way I look. It's picking out and nitpicking stuff, and I really wish I didn't have this, and I wish I could fix this and that kind of stuff. And I think it's kind of the same deal as they go in there automatically. I think the majority of that group goes in there like, as long as I don't fall over and look stupid.
Right.
And then they get in there and realize how much fun it is. Like you said, they get an opportunity to see themselves in action as they're doing it and going, this isn't as bad as I thought. Or, man, I'm kind of hot looking while I'm doing this. This looks pretty good, So that, fun. That affirmation that they get out of that process. And really, it's not 100% group. They just happen to go in there and book it out with you so that they all had it together as their group. But you offer it in consistent class formats where those guys can come in and join a class and do it as well too. And I'd have to imagine the same deal. Like she had, I forget how many, it's like 20 girls or whatever. I mean, but in that deal, you've got all these women that are being positive with each other and reinforcing. I'm having to imagine that the class settings are probably the same way, that people are just like, girl, you can do it. Let's go. Well, and I say girl, that's true. I mean, I don't want to just
not get us in trouble.
I don't want to just pigeonhole it to women either. I mean, it's not like you're going, this is a girls pole class or whatever. So, I mean,
sure. No, in the group setting, you're definitely going to get to connect more with yourself and your teammates, your friends in there. There's a little less like worry about like, is somebody that I don't know watching? But
somebody videoing this.
Yeah, exactly. But in the class setting, it's pretty much the same. Like, it's not like anybody's professional in there. And, they just go in there to have fun and get a good workout. And like, it's cool learning new tricks, just like anything else. And overseas, like it's real mainstream, like especially in Europe and Russia, like they have their kids on the pole just doing amazing things. And like, it's normal, like accepted.
Aerial acrobatics and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which again, I don't want to shy anybody away from it. It's not like you guys are going in on beginner pole and you're dangling upside down with your feet wrapped around the pole or whatever. It's pretty basic moves. But I think what you've built and created over at Innovative is you're trying to get a vein into creating an environment that allows people to come in to transform themselves, right? In a true environment. I mean, when you interact with your clients and with your groups that are in there or whatever, it's always positive. It's an exact replica of what, like when Deanna fell in love with your classes out at Wolf Pen, it's an exact replica of that just within four walls. You have more equipment, more things, a little more structured, but walking around, constant affirmation to people, constant encouragement when people feel like they've reached their limit. I think you do a good job of pushing people past that. And you've put people around you as well too that have those same kind of sights of that they're sitting there saying, we see what the vision is for Innovative Fitness, and we want to be a positive part of that change in Innovative.
A wellness center has always been, my dream. It's not quite to fruition, but like, truly transform people and make people feel well.
Yeah.
Everybody's so, there's a lot of negativity out there and whatnot.
So let's talk about real quick, and I know we're on a tight schedule today, but let's talk about COVID for just a second for people who are maybe questioning, they've gone to other gyms, and gyms they're all across the board. Some places are, you're wearing masks when you're at a location. Some of them are 100% mask. Right now, Abbott's lifted everything, and now it's up to the businesses. So if I walk in, what can I expect in your operation as far as COVID, safety standards and things that you guys are still practicing?
Yeah. So, COVID, we definitely took a hit. We're still down, but we're still in the fight, and it's been such a good fight too. I've learned over the years, and we've actually adopted some really good habits, that we didn't have before. But as of like current, how we're dealing with it is we prefer people wear their mask when they walk in the door. So we have the sign up on the door, wear your mask in. So you basically wear your mask to your station or to your class, then you can take it off. But we've done a good job. I made some renovations over COVID too that I can keep people a lot more separate. We've got several thousand square feet plus outside that we can keep people separate. And those that want to wear a mask, like they still do. We have seniors that have come through that still wear a mask even after they've got the shot. So it's just going to make their lungs more efficient.
Yeah, and they're being respectful to the people that are around them as well too. And if not anything, one of the things that I've said in these podcasts is it's probably made you a better business owner going through it. Like you had made a comment saying there were things that we weren't doing that we kind of shored up. I think as probably a better statement to that is there was a lot of things that we probably didn't realize we needed to be doing as well too.
I'll tell you one of my favorite things, and like it goes back to our pitfalls conversation. Is like I love coaching and teaching and stuff like that. So I'm out there on the floor, I'm coaching, I'm teaching, I still pick up clients to this day. and thoroughly enjoy that. But like when COVID hit, like a lot of that stuff was gone. So like it forced me to go be a better business owner. It forced me to start getting back into marketing and doing all the stuff that like I used to do early on that I kind of got spoiled or lazy, or like you get a little burned out, sidetracked, too many things going on. And just getting back to my root of serving people and being authentic. And so COVID, it's been a great thing for us.
Well, I think the one thing that people will get in coming to Innovative Fitness and interacting with you, if they don't know Trevor Carney, the one thing that I can definitely say is what you see is what you get. You don't get, now, I won't offend you by saying this, but I mean, you're not going to get polished, business corporate cut kind of look and talk and all of that other stuff. But what you do get is you get somebody that you can connect with. I mean, the one thing that you were great about was connecting with people, using their strengths to push them along, and then getting them to see past a lot of the weaknesses that were, in a lot of cases, perceived weaknesses for people, so that they can grow in their physical fit journey and become better at what it is that they want to do in their life, whether that's, long-term health and wellness, whether that's I got something coming up I need to get in shape for, whether that's my quarantine 25 that I put on that I need to take off. I mean, you've got all these things that are kind of at your doorstep, and you have the knowledge base and the certifications and everything behind all that, along with several of your trainers and things that are running personal training for you to help guide those clients into a different mode of thinking.
Oh, that's perfect.
So that they walk in and they're building knowledge, not just the physical fitness part of what they can do, but knowledge when it comes to nutrition, knowledge when it comes to really digging in and creating a commitment to themselves.
I got one for you. When I tell people, I mean, I say it 2, 3, 5 times a week. Trevor, I want a trainer, which of course we make more money on training, and I'd love everybody to have a trainer. But I'm like so sincere when I tell them, I was like, look, if you sign up for classes and you can get there, you don't need a trainer unless you've got like a specific goal, And then we can work with you on your nutrition, but you come to the gym to feel better, to get your energy up, to burn some calories, to be functional, to be strong, to be flexible. And, if you want to see fat loss, weight loss, well, that's done in the kitchen, like you just said, Lyle. But like I'll tell people all the time, look, if you can get here, you don't need a personal trainer. But if you're struggling getting here, like, hey, that's where some accountability is well worth it.
Well, and I think what's incredible is just the fact that you can say that publicly, because most gym owners are going to go, oh, you want to, I'll take care of you. I got personal training for you. Let's get you signed up right now.
High ticket item.
Yeah, I got 10 classes I can sign you up for, 10 sessions, as opposed to, let's really walk what your needs and what your goals are so that we can match those up.
Well, that was one of the reasons I left corporate America in the fitness world, because like they were trying to teach me to make people cry or buy. So it's cry or buy. I was like, no, that's not my style.
And it was all about what was the P&L at the end of the month.
Exactly.
So if guys want to reach back to you, Trevor, I mean, because 2021, you're coming out of the backside, kind of figured most of the stuff out for COVID. People are starting to feel comfortable coming back. You have vaccines coming back into the area now. People are starting to feel comfortable getting back in. They realize that they probably let their physical fitness goals and really probably ideas of where they saw themselves maybe pre-COVID, now post-COVID, and they want to start working on getting back to getting healthy because they've let that slip to the wayside by other things going on. That these guys can reach back to you to start building 2021 for them. And there's no one good time for people to start. We always see people starting at the beginning of the year, and they make their
today's the day to start.
They make their New Year's challenge to themselves or whatever, but you can start any day. It's just a matter of what day you feel like picking up. So if they want to get in touch with you and get over to Innovative Fitness, even just to do a walkthrough, you let guys just kind of come in and check everything out.
Yeah, you can try a free class. All you have to do is go to our website and click on the free class thing, and that takes care of your class pass. The only one we don't do a free one for is the pole and the hammock yoga, which we just have limited spots. We can't do it. But just hit us up like that, or I know we're going to share my information and like a couple other things that we added since COVID. Like we do a great job of on-site training, so we were always the leaders with staffing apartment complexes and different seniors' homes and organizations with professionals, like that's where the industry's going. There are so many fitness professionals that are out there that are great. They're going to serve you, that are going to be awesome, and they will come to you nowadays. I've got a bunch of them on my team that can do it, but like that's going to be one of the waves of the fitness future, you know?
Yeah.
Like everybody's going to have a trainer at their work.
It comes to you.
It comes to you, exactly. And so we did virtual stuff and got high tech with that, with some accountability forums and stuff like that, where you send the form back with your showing that you did your work, what you tell us you do. So that was cool. That came out of COVID, and then you know, also the on-site stuff. Like we just really kind of honed in on that, and now people are coming back. We've got a little younger crowd. Like our older folks are still, you know, staying away right now, but we're ready for them to come back.
Yeah.
You know, we'll keep you safe.
Well, and again, you're trying to do that as a business. You don't want to be a spot or a location that ends up being a spreading point or anything like that. So encouraging people to wear their mask when they walk in, you know, wearing them to stations, keeping them around until they get to the place where they're going to be working out at, again, is just, it's not, a lot of people look at that with a negative, but it's precaution that you're taking for safety and love for your folks that are there, that are paying you to create that safe environment.
Another really cool thing is our members really stepped up their game with like picking up and wiping down.
Yeah.
And we spray everything with alcohol after every class, and then the building gets fogged every night. So I mean, we're cleaner than ever. You know, better than ever.
Yeah.
And just still enjoying the ride.
Just
really.
learning different ways to run the business more efficiently. So if they want to reach out to if you're looking for Trevor, let's start with your phone number. If you want to reach Trevor, because Trevor told me to give out his cell number, so for physical fitness.
Or your pole party.
That's right. So you can reach Trevor at 979-595-3080. They can go online, reach you Innovative Fitness at ifbcs.com, or they can show up on site there at any given point and get a walkthrough, get an opportunity to see the location, see how everything's laid out, and they can show up over there at 3024 Texas Avenue South.
That's right.
And have an opportunity to be able to get an on-hand, on-site preparation of what they may be wanting to sign up for, to take the free class, just to kind of see how it works for them, see if this is the location for them. A lot of times the smaller gyms work really well for people who are trying to get back in, because there's such a stigma that goes into going to large gyms, large corporate gyms. They don't feel like that hands-on, you know, really trying to help people. They don't feel like that's readily available. So
you're intimidated.
Yeah, it really is. And you do a good job of putting up videos and things of people who've made progressions and where they started to where they're at today, and really sending those out as encouragement to people. Like, listen, man, if 60-year-old Bill over here can get from here to here, you know, what can we do for you in your 30s and 40s? And you just kind of let it all slip off.
You just got to start.
Yeah, and you've got all the knowledge and the background and everything that people need. You've been doing it for a long time.
Oh, my gosh.
And I know you want it to be a part of your future as well, too. So let Trevor show you through his place and give you an opportunity to really show what he's offering in the Brazos Valley area here. Hit him up. And again, he's doing some things that you just don't see in town. So we really want to encourage people, if you're looking at doing fun little group things and stuff like that he's got an opportunity where he can rent out his area, pole dance, whatever that is.
Hammock yoga parties.
Yeah.
Hammock yoga parties.
Yeah. So I mean, it just like I said, the ladies had a ton of fun. So personally speaking on it, I got to see it from them when they came back. So appreciate that. Appreciate you taking care of them as well too. So, but Trevor, thanks for coming out, spending some time with us. I know you got to get. Got a client that you got to get to and everything else, man. So I appreciate you coming in, spending time, sharing information about Innovative Fitness. We wish you nothing but best here in 2021, man. And I hope that people will give you an opportunity, come try out and see what you're all about, see why you've been in the business for so long, man.
Yeah.
So
almost 20 years at this point.
I know, you're like an old dog in this, right? I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you coming out. So
it's been an honor. Thanks
for joining us today, guys. Again, if you got any questions of Trevor over here, hit him up over there at Innovative Fitness. He'll be more than happy to help you all out. And we'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day.
Make it a great day.
There you go.
Peace.